I thought I understood Islam, but I was wrong. I grew up hearing about it, in news headlines, in random conversations, in passing comments. And every time, it was the same picture: conflict, rules, restrictions. So I filed it away in my mind, thinking I knew what it was. But then, something happened. One Friday, I was about to head home early. I saw a colleague rushing out, and I casually asked him where he was going. He said one word: Jumu'ah. I had no idea what that meant, so I asked. And he told me, Friday prayer. I don't know why, but I was curious enough to follow him. That's how I walked into a mosque for the very first time in my life. The moment I stepped inside, everything felt different. The noise of the city faded. People were calm, focused. The air felt still. And for the first time in years, my own thoughts were quiet. I didn't join them. I just sat in the back, watching. And in that silence, I felt something I couldn't explain. It wasn't about rules. It wasn't about headlines. It was about peace. Real, deep peace. That moment stayed with me. It planted a seed I didn't even notice at first. But from that day on, ignoring Islam wasn't an option anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because something bad had happened, but because I kept replaying what I saw in that mosque. Why did everyone move in perfect harmony? Why did they all bow, rise, and whisper the same words at the same time, without anyone giving orders? I started searching. Not a casual Google search, I mean really digging. And the deeper I went, the more I realized how little I actually knew. I learned that Muslims believe in one God, not a distant, abstract idea, but a God who knows you personally, who hears every word you whisper, even the ones you never speak out loud. I found out that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, wasn't just a religious figure. He was a husband, a leader, a teacher, a man who cried when he saw people suffering, who forgave even his worst enemies. And then I read something that stopped me cold. The Quran, the central book of Islam, hasn't changed in over 1,400 years. Not one word. I didn't know any other book in history like that. So I started reading it. And it didn't feel like I was reading about God. It felt like God was speaking to me. That's when I knew this wasn't just another religion. It was an answer I didn't even realize I'd been looking for. But here's the thing. Knowing the truth and living it are two different battles. I kept asking myself, if I believe this, am I willing to change my life for it? Because Islam isn't just a label, it's a way of living. I thought about my habits, my lifestyle, the things I'd have to leave behind. And honestly, I was scared. One night, I was walking home, and I looked up at the sky. The stars were so clear, so close, and I just whispered, "If you're real, guide me." The next morning, I woke up with a strange calm in my chest, like I wasn't running anymore, like I'd been found. That day, I made my decision, not because someone forced me, not because I wanted to join something, but because I could no longer ignore the truth. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. People ask me, was it worth it? Leaving behind the life I knew, stepping into the unknown? I tell them this. For the first time in my life, my heart is at peace. Not the fake peace you get from distractions. The real one, the kind that stays, even when life gets hard. I don't see Islam as a restriction. I see it as freedom. Freedom from confusion, from doubt, from the endless search for meaning. And now, every time I hear the adhan, every time I see the Kaaba, every time I put my forehead to the ground, I remember the night I asked for guidance, and how it was given to me. This is why I can't ignore Islam, and why I never will. I used to think Islam was just another religion, something people followed because of tradition. But the more I learned, the more I realized it's so much more. It's a complete way of life, guiding how you treat people, how you do business, how you build a community, even how you take care of your own mind and soul. I started reading about the Prophet Muhammad, not as a religious figure, but as a leader, a human being. And what I found shocked me. The way he led with justice, kindness, and wisdom. It wasn't just inspiring, it was practical. The Quran didn't just talk about worship. It talked about fairness, helping the poor, protecting the weak, and living with balance. And I couldn't help but think, this isn't something that belongs to the past. This works now. That's when it hit me. I can't ignore this anymore. The truth is right in front of me, and walking away would mean turning my back on something real, something life-changing. The more I looked into it, the more it challenged me. Not in a way that pushed me away, but in a way that made me question my own habits, my own beliefs. Why do I live the way I do? Why do I make the choices I make? And what if there's a better way? I realized Islam isn't just about praying or fasting. It's about building yourself into someone better, someone more patient, more honest, more disciplined. It's about thinking beyond yourself. Your family matters. Your neighbors matter. Even the stranger you'll never meet, they matter. I started to see that this wasn't just a set of rules. It was a blueprint for a meaningful life. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. You can't just walk away like nothing happened. I used to think faith was just personal, something you keep in your heart. But Islam, it's lived. It's in the way you treat people, the way you earn your money, the way you speak when no one is listening. It's in the discipline to do what's right, even when it's hard. And it's in the peace that comes when you know you've done it. The more I learned, the more I saw the beauty in its balance. It doesn't ignore the mind, and it doesn't ignore the heart. It speaks to both, with clarity and purpose. And in a world full of noise, that kind of clarity is rare. That's why I can't ignore it. I started to notice something. Every time I drifted away from learning about Islam, life felt louder, messier. But the moment I came back, it was like someone turned the noise down. The principles weren't there to control me. They were there to free me from chasing every desire that never truly satisfied, to free me from the confusion of a world that changes its morals every week. It gave me a foundation that didn't shake with the news cycle or public opinion. And when you stand on something that's steady, you start to see the storms differently. That's why I can't ignore it. I realized, the more I learned, the more I unlearned. Misconceptions I carried for years just fell apart. The stereotype of oppression? I met women in Islam who were more confident and respected than in any place I'd seen. The idea that it was all about rituals? I found meaning in every single one, even the ones I didn't fully understand yet. And the thing that hit me hardest, it wasn't just about belief. It was about action. How you treat your parents, how you speak to strangers, how you spend your money, how you guard your time. It didn't just change what I thought. It changed who I was becoming. And then, I saw something I couldn't explain. A man who had nothing, still smiling, still grateful. A family with barely enough to eat, inviting me to share their food first. It wasn't pity. It wasn't performance. It was genuine. This faith had carved something deep inside them, a sense of peace the world couldn't touch. And I thought, if this is what Islam can do to a person's heart, how could I walk away without knowing more?